Hi, my name is Scott Stancell-Condron. Welcome to my podcast, Grief, I Love Tim. Episode 6, Season 1. Today, I just want to talk about kind of random thoughts that I have and how they have kind of really affected me or in this journey that I'm going through. Let me reiterate, I really don't have any answers. But I think we're close to 2,000 views over the 5 episodes. And, if you get anything from it, that's great. But, basically just knowing that whatever you're going through in your own grief journey is normal. But I want to start out I got a message that from episode 5 that I was being unfair to the doctors because I had said they had implicit bias. But let me just clarify this. The desert doctors, claim to have talked to our doctors back in Boston, which was not true because Tim and I didn't have the same doctors. I don't even know if they knew the doctors, my doctor's names. I would doubt it, and I didn't sign any consent forms. So for the doctor to say, well, you guys stay on your regimen, you live a clean life, blah, 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 which meant like maybe some gay guys or all gay guys, I guess, we didn't do drugs, which is, I know a lot of gay people that have never done drugs. And then I know some that have that don't now, just all kinds. It's a mixed bag. And, you can't make blanket statements, but they certainly never talked to my doctors. And I've talked to 2 of my doctors since then, and I know that they haven't talked to them. But, let me just, the doctor who said, that we were on our regimens and all that really showed implicit bias, at least towards me, by thinking I was HIV positive without checking, which if I was, I have no problem saying it. But I'm not, as I talked about in episode 5, Tim and I are, serodiscordant couple. And, and I would think if you're showing implicit bias towards me, there's implicit bias towards Tim. And as I mentioned in episode 5 about the pneumocystis in particular. So it's Sunday, August the 24th. Tuesday will be the 3-month anniversary of Tim's passing. And tomorrow will be 13 weeks since he passed. I'm going back to Boston. Almost all of our family is going to be in Boston. My dad's coming up from Tennessee. My nephew from Indiana. Tim's niece from Delaware, a niece from DC, a nephew from Scranton. His siblings will all be there on September the 4th at St. Cecilia's in Boston for his funeral. Because of, summer weddings, just summer in general in Boston, it took a little bit of effort to get everything squared away, which I did this past week with the folks at St. Cecilia's. There have been so many people that have been so helpful. Tim's brother's doing the program layout. A niece did prayer cards. A friend of ours is working on the flowers that actually 2 of his friends from work are going to make. So there's just been, and as usual, my sister's been great. And even in this, we have a nephew-in-law who's going through colorectal cancer and, has some pretty good news, and I'm extremely happy for that news. Even, there are things that I can be happy for that are good. So, but like I said, it's been, it'll be 13 weeks tomorrow and 3 months on Tuesday. And I had mused in an earlier podcast about how I would track time. And I think I'm actually tracking time by how long Tim's been gone in weeks. So, the big thing is I know there's a tomorrow, but I don't feel like there's a future without him. It's just like, okay, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going back to work. I'm at work. Tomorrow afternoon I'm going to Costco, but there's not, trying to plan further out than that. And I just miss the hell out of him, and I really don't ever see that changing. So, and I'm fine with it. I think I'm at peace if I am alone for the rest of my life, and because I think it would be unfair to anyone else to bring into a situation of where Tim and I had a really great relationship, and we worked really, really hard at it to have it and to keep communication lines open and to heal from our past baggage. So, that's been extremely, that was extremely important in our relationship. I miss, the sensory receptors, sight, smell, taste, hearing his voice, and touching him, I just miss those so much. I miss the presence of him being in the house, even though most of the days I would be in my office, he would be at his desk in one of the spare bedrooms, or in the kitchen at the kitchen table, or outside putzing around, or scheming new ways to decorate the house with our niece Erin. So just things like that, or him telling me about the Karen Reed trial, just me telling him about my day. I just miss that. I used to joke with him. We had 2 dogs that passed earlier, one about 11 years ago, and one about 4 years ago. And their names were Phyllis and Bernie. They were both females. Bernie's real name was Bernice. We named her after one of Tim's best friends, who was a guy whose name was Bernie, but we named her Bernice. And I would always say to him, if I mourn for you half as much as I mourn for these dogs, consider yourself to be extremely lucky and extremely loved. And what I would say is I've probably grieved for him 100 times what I grieved for them, maybe even 1,000. And I just sorely miss him, to the point that I really can't get rid of a lot of things, even after 3 months. I mean, his underwear is still in his underwear drawer, and we don't wear the same size. This actual shirt he never wore, but I bought it for him because it was like 2 weeks before he went into the hospital. And with most of our shirts, we were the same size. So, they can't get rid of those things. His pants, we had a little bit different waist and length size, but, I can't bring myself to get rid of those. I just miss him. I never realized that it was going to hurt this bad when the time came if he went before me. And that I would miss him so much that I can't imagine I could ever, than I've ever imagined having, and what it was going to be like. I still cry myself to sleep every night because what I didn't have that day. And most mornings I wake up and I cry for a little bit for what that day's not going to hold. I feel like I'm caught in a version of the movie Groundhog Day, and it just really replays itself over and over. I know there's tomorrow. I know, I've got to take care of myself and I've got to take care of the dog, but it's not, there aren't any long-term plans. It's, this is my grief journey, and I'm okay with it. I think I make some people uncomfortable because if I'm close enough to them, and I'm talking more friends than family, and some family may, but I make them uncomfortable because sometimes I cry when I talk about Tim, and just the whole process, and it's not the fact that I want to stay miserable. It's just that I miss him so much, and I don't know how and if that ever goes away. And I talk to him. I tell him that I love him and that I miss him. And I still haven't had the real anger that people are associated with it. I may still get it. I'm 3 months into this journey. I've talked to a lot of people, and everyone's different. Just like every person's different, every relationship is different. Your interactions are different. Your views of the world are different. And so how people process their grief is obviously going to be different, and how long it takes and how long it lasts. So, thank you for watching, and always be kind and have gratitude, and be grateful for what you have today, because it may not be there tomorrow. Thanks.